Assalamu alaikum everybody. Today we are continuing our passages. Last time we discussed the very first five passages which talk about Allah's unique attributes, Allah's master's personality. Now, starting from passage number 6 onwards, the next five passages talk about Allah's relationship with the created world, specifically human being. So let's start with the translation of it. Surah Al Fatiha, the very first surah of the Quran, passage number 6 in our syllabus of CA. The translation of it goes like this: In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Praise be to Allah, the cherisher and sustainer of the worlds. Talking about this very first verse, in fact, second verse, first verse is there is the starting of this passage by taking all by the in the name of Allah, who's the most gracious, most merciful. The second verse says that praise be to Allah, because the whole praise is for Almighty Allah, because Allah is a cherisher. He has a very close relationship with His created world, specifically with human being. He cares a lot for the human being. That's why He cherishes this very world, and he's a sustainer as well, because He is taking care of us. He is taking care of the whole universe in terms of its durability, its continuity. So that's why there is no point of praising anybody else besides Almighty Allah, because Almighty Allah is the one who deserves to be praised. If you talk about its importance from a believer's perspective, a believer never try to look for a personal praise, even if he has achieved extraordinary objects in this very world, or even if he is if a believer has gained extraordinary success in this very world. A believer never aims at earning people's praise. Instead, a believer, after achieving any success in this very world, says that praise be to Allah. Why? Because everything that you have achieved in this very world is given to you by Almighty Allah. Yes, you have tried for it, but you cannot achieve or control anything unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives it to you. So that is the main reason why a believer always have a strong faith that praise is only for Almighty Allah. Okay. So, most gracious, most merciful, two of the beautiful names of Almighty Allah. Ar-Rahman means most gracious, most compassionate, and Ar-Rahim means most merciful. So these two attributes tells us about Almighty Allah's compassion, His attribute of being compassionate towards us, and His attribute of being most merciful towards his created human being and towards his whole creation. What we learn from it, how important it is in terms of a believer's point of view. A believer should always try and show compassion towards his fellow being, towards Allah's creatures, and should always show mercy towards people, should try and forgive their shortcomings, should try and forgive their faults, their mistakes, and should always be compassionate towards them, to earn Allah's mercy, to earn Allah's compassion. If a believer wants to earn Almighty Allah's compassion, Almighty Allah's grace, His mercy, then he will always try and show compassion and mercy towards Allah's creature. Allah is the master of the day of judgment. It says, what it means in terms of its theme is Allah is the one who will be the ultimate master on the day of judgment. He is just, and He will show His justice in the day of judgment. And if you think about its importance from a believer's perspective, a believer always try and stay away from evil actions and to always try to do good deeds. Why? Because a believer has a strong and firm faith in the day of judgment, and he has a strong faith that his deeds will be evaluated on the day of judgment. Obviously, the result of that will tell about his ultimate place after being judged on the day of judgment. So accordingly, a believer always act accordingly. A believer always try to ensure that he stays on the right path, always try to do good deeds. A believer has a spirit of taqwa. Taqwa means God-fearing behavior. It means piety. It means righteousness. And that is the only way to earn Allah's blessings and mercy. You we worship and your aid we seek. So a believer is always worshiping Almighty Allah, is always looking for Almighty Allah's help, and always ask Allah for His help. So, if you talk about its importance, it is essentially important for from a believer's perspective to worship Almighty Allah, to get closer to Almighty Allah. That is the best way. Saying prayer is one of the best way to get close to Almighty Allah, because it is a direct contact between the believer and his Lord. And this is the best way to stay close to Almighty Allah, and also to earn Almighty Allah's aid, help in difficult times. A believer always turn to prayer whenever he is having any kind of difficulty in his life, or in case of any kind of any kind of need that has come up. A believer turns to Almighty Allah for getting His help. So show us the straight way. It is only Almighty Allah who can show us the straight way. Okay. And if you think about its importance, it is essentially important for a believer to ask Almighty Allah to so that he can find the straight way. Obviously, we have the Holy Quran, we have the Sunnah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the life of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Is filled with different instances from which we can easily find out the straight path, the straight way. The way of those to whom you have given your grace. So we are asking Almighty Allah to show us the way of those people to whom Almighty Allah has given His grace, His blessings, not those who earn your anger, not those who go astray. So we are not asking Almighty Allah to show us the path of the people who earned Almighty Allah's anger, or who have gone on the wrong path. Astray means going on the wrong path. So that's pretty much all about this passage. Theme and importance. Pretty much easier to draw the theme and importance from the passage itself by understanding the translation of the passage, and then writing its theme and importance instead of memorizing the theme and importance of it. I have written down its theme and importance for you in case if somebody wants to note it down for further reference. Okay, so let's go ahead and read out its theme and importance as well. Theme of the passages: God's relationship with the created world. This is the opening chapter of the Quran, the very first surah of the Quran. It states that all the praise is for God, who is the sustainer of the whole universe. Allah is the most compassionate, most merciful, and master of the day of judgment. Man shows his submission to God by worshipping Him alone and seeking His aid or help alone. It is only God who can guide His created man to the right path. Human being asks Allah, Almighty Allah, to guide him to the path of blessed people, people who earn Allah's grace, and to keep them away from the path of those who earn Allah's anger, or those who are on the wrong path. So that's pretty much all about its theme. Its importance is now this passage is of great importance for Muslims. Why? Because it is obligatory to recite this passage or surah in every prayer, every obligatory prayer. Okay, so it is compulsory to recite Surah Fatiha. Without Surah Fatiha, the prayer is not complete. Prophet ﷺ said, no prayer is complete without the recitation of Fatiha al-Kitab. So without reciting Surah Fatiha, a prayer is not complete. Since all the praise is for Allah, a believer thanks and praises Allah on achieving any success and never look to find a way to be praised. Muslims should avoid sinful activities and do good deeds in order to earn Allah's blessings and mercy. The Quran says, He, means Allah, has inscribed for Himself the rule of mercy. So a believer should always rely on Allah for all his needs, his wants. Why? Because Allah is the sole sustainer of the universe. This surah itself is a prayer because Muslims recites it to seek Allah's compassion, mercy, help, and guidance to the straight path. It inspires a believer to show compassion and mercy to fellow beings regardless of their appearance or possession. Why? Because if we will show compassion and mercy towards our fellow beings, that is the only way we can expect Almighty Allah's compassion and mercy. Okay. Now, this surah develops the spirit of taqwa, which means piety or God-fearing behavior, as God is just and will do justice on the day of judgment. So, if we want to keep ourselves safe from Allah's anger, we must act righteously and always stay on the right path as guided in the Quran and by following the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that's pretty much all about this passage, theme, and importance. So as I keep on emphasizing the fact, it is essentially important for all of you to try and understand the translation itself, and from that try and draw its theme and importance. Just need to memorize a few references to support your theme and importance. That's pretty much all about it. Coming up next in our next video, I'm gonna be explaining to you passage number 7. So till then, take care of yourself and goodbye.